Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli the Computer Guy here for the Daily Blob, where I shake my brain nipples every day to get some of that good YouTube money so I can provide you folks free hands-on technology education. So Pride and Joy is Silicon Dojo, silicondojo.com. We do in-person classes in Durham, North Carolina. We just had our first one a couple of days ago. We're going to have a next one in a couple of weeks. Basically, we're focusing on things like artificial intelligence projects and showing you how to actually build things and how all this technology works. If you're interested with that type of thing, go to silicondojo.com. So good news, everybody. Apparently Trump and China agree on something. Yay! Yeah, they both agree that NVIDIA chips shouldn't be sold in China. So there you go. There you go. We got agreement. We got agreement in 2025. So I think this is interesting, right? So under the Biden administration, now under the Trump administration, there's been export controls over AI hardware going to China with the idea that old white guys in the White House do believe that they should have control over the advancement of a society half the world away, right? China has gone far enough with their technological advancement. We feel uncomfortable if they go any further. Really, look, the old white guy is getting a little concerned. So maybe your entire civilization over 1 billion people should stop. I mean, that seems reasonable. It seems reasonable. Anyway, so there's been a lot of horse crap going on. Surprise, China, the factory for the world, doesn't really like being told by old senile white people half a world away how their society should progress. So they're building their own AI hardware, software, and the rest of it. So you got Huawei, you got Alibaba, you got DeepSeek. Yeah, these companies, they're basically building out their own entire AI stack. And the curious thing is that they are doing it in a slightly different way than the United States is doing. And now there's this whole, right, there's the AI war. Who will win? Will the Chinese AI stack win? Will the American AI stack win? And that's kind of the world that we're in right now, right? So the weird thing that's been going on is that, the United States, basically our president doesn't want AI hardware to be shipped to China. China has been ramping up their AI production capacity, but AI hardware has been getting in through the cracks into China, right? So people basically buy GPUs, buy NVIDIA hardware somewhere else, and they ship it into China, or they figure out quote unquote illicit ways to get AI hardware into China. And what's curious now is that the Chinese government is actually pushing back. So one of the storylines up until now is that, China is creating their own AI stack, but really, they want the NVIDIA stack. Don't you know, our GPUs are strong GPUs. Their GPUs are weak GPUs, right? So the idea is that it's just a narrative that China is spinning, right? The narrative of, we're creating our own AI stack, but really at the end of the day, they want to get their hands on the NVIDIA GPUs. So what's curious here is it does seem like the Chinese government is actually starting to step in and really actually crack down on NVIDIA GPU imports, whether they're legal or the illicit, basically saying, no, we don't want NVIDIA hardware coming into the country. And they now believe, what they're saying is that it's a national security concern. So they want their companies simply producing on the Chinese AI stack. So it'll be kind of curious to see how this goes. NVIDIA chips face heavy scrutiny as China tightens customs, right? So customs, as stuff gets shipped into China, their little customs officials are going through and going, ooh, you have illicit NVIDIA. Don't you know what NVIDIA GPUs can transmit? China is intensifying efforts to control the import of NVIDIA chips through a heightened customs crackdown, according to the Financial Times. In recent weeks, Beijing has deployed customs teams across major ports to conduct strict checks on semiconductor shipments. The inspections aim to ensure that local companies stop ordering NVIDIA's China-specific chips in line with regulatory guidance, discouraging such purchases. The move underscores China's push to reduce reliance on American semiconductors and prove its dominance in the ongoing AI race. At the heart of the crackdown are NVIDIA's export-compliant H20 and RTX Pro 6000D processors, which are stripped-down versions of the company's advanced AI chips. Beijing is also citing national security concerns over import of American chips and is urging local companies to advance the development of their own chips. As a result, Alibaba and Baidu have already started using their in-house chips for training AI models. China aims to channel its resources into supporting domestic chip makers to help them close gaps in performance and manufacturing capabilities. Beijing's strict enforcement is undermining NVIDIA's efforts to revive chip sales in China. NVIDIA has also stopped including China chip sales in its future projections. Beijing is growing increasingly confident that the domestic chips have reached performance levels comparable to NVIDIA's China-specific models. Again, and that's the interesting thing to be thinking about here too, is from the Chinese perspective, it doesn't matter how good NVIDIA's best hardware is, right? So that's one of the big arguments here. Like, well, NVIDIA's best hardware is better than what China can produce, therefore China should buy NVIDIA. But remember, as Lutnick says, as Lutnick proudly stated, we're not selling China our best AI hardware, we're selling them our fourth best AI hardware. So that's the interesting thing, right? In the Chinese market, the Chinese AI companies don't have to beat NVIDIA's best. All they have to do is beat what is allowed to be sold in country. And so again, that's the interesting thing. Like I say, for this competitive environment that our leadership in the United States is creating, right? Let's see, the country also aims to triple production of advanced semiconductors next year to meet the demand gap left by NVIDIA. Meanwhile, sources suggest that inspections have recently expanded to cover all advanced semiconductor products, aiming also to curb a smuggling of high-end chips that violate U.S. export restrictions. The report noted that at least $1 billion worth of NVIDIA's top AI chips were smuggled into and sold in China between May and July. So there are NVIDIA chips that are still being smuggled into China, but it does look like the Chinese government really is trying to crack down on those GPUs and that silicon getting into China. And so it'll be curious to see where this goes in the future. Again, that's the whole thing with these companies, again, with Huawei or Alibaba or whatever else. If they had to compete in an open market, it would be brutal, right? They would have to put all of this investment in to create chips. And if their chips were half as good as what NVIDIA was selling on the open market, right, that's a hell of a thing. That's a hard economic hurdle to get over. But what's curious now is what we are doing, what Americans are doing, is we're only allowing them to buy substandard chips. So all of these Chinese companies literally just have to be as good as those substandard chips or a little bit better. They get all of that market share that allows them to build factories, that allows them to do CapEx expenses, that allows them to train up their employees, create those workflows, create those logistics systems, all of those types of things. As they get better and better and better and better, where do you think this is going to be in 5 or 10 years? I don't think it's going to be a good place for the United States. But anyways, I'm just a guy in my basement screaming into a webcam. So anyways, what are you going to do about it? So what do you think about this? What do you think about China really, really trying to break away from the American AI stack? Do you think it's going well? Who do you think it's going well for? I don't know. Put your thoughts down below. If you like these videos, give us a thumbs up. If you hate these videos, give us a thumbs down. Call me amazing. Call me a moron. Just be a real Lutnick and do it down there in the comment section. Do remember silicondojo.com. Silicon Dojo is my pride and joy. In-person technology education that empowers you to do whatever the hell it is that you want to do. Our next class is coming up October 22nd, I do believe. It's going to be in the OpenAI API, how to use Python to actually create your own little AI applications using OpenAI as the AI back-end component. If you're interested in that, go to silicondojo.com. And with that, see y'all later.